Excuse me. Did you take my charger?
Yeah, I have it.
Why would you take my charger?
Because we got off the flight.
Yeah, but my that's my charger. Why would you take
You're
it?
gonna get it back. Give me one
But why would you
second.
take it though without permission?
Because nobody was on the flight, bro.
Yeah, but that's
Chill the
my
fuck
charger.
out. And you're getting it back.
Okay,
No
can
one
I
was
have
on the
it back?
flight. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, but don't steal things. You can't take things without
When
asking.
nobody is on the flight.
Oh, you just take things? Like we're not coming back?
Ed,
Why don't you take people's luggage then?
Ed, it's okay. It's okay. Sit down.
No, you can't take things without asking. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be famous. You're gonna be on TikTok.
Ed, please sit down. I don't want to get.
I don't know who you are, but I don't know why you're getting involved.
Ed, I don't want to get kicked off this plane.
All right, just give me my charger back. We'll call it even. All right? Sounds good.
Oh my God, Ed, please.
And look at this guy smiling.
Ed, please.
She's gonna be ridiculous. She's gonna give you back.
No, you're ridiculous. You stole something without asking.
Who stole it?
She stole it. You can't take things without asking.
Is it stealing?
Yes, that is stealing. Absolutely.
Is it stealing?
Absolutely. Yes, it's stealing. You're giving it back because I caught you and everybody else saw you. That's why. Everybody else said you took it. What, you can't afford a charger?
All right, this is an interesting video. Now, whose side are you on here? And I got to tell you, there's things that you have to see through. Like, one thing that happens in argument and debate, it happens all the time. Every jury has to deal with this. Every arbitration has to deal with this. Every lawyer has to deal with this with their clients, which is not the letter of the law or what precedent says or what I think as an expert in this field. It has to do with how are you going to make the jury like you? Are you a likable person? They will run this all the way to one of the most effective polls for the presidency is they will ask a question and it's a hypothetical. Who would you rather have a beer with? And whoever wins that, like every 4 years, ends up winning the presidency. It's a very real thing. We know this is people. I'm only sharing with you. You have to really take that into account because this gal is as good and charismatic on the fly as anything that I've seen posted on the internet. I mean, what a huge comment. She's so good, in fact. He comes off as aggressive, and she does not. And I only share that for you, like, because you're really trying to break this down. You do have to take that into account. The way he says something, you're not going to like as much as the way she responds. But does that make him wrong, and does that make her right? And she's so good. I even rewound to watch it, and I thought it was a work. And I'm following the most basic rule, which is put yourself in somebody else's shoes, which is what the law will also ask you to do. It will ask you, what would a reasonable person do? What would a reasonable response be? So, all right, let's take those things into account. Now, his perspective is an airplane gets held, right? They're all on the same airplane. Airplane gets held on the runway. It gets held for so long, they allow people to get off, stretch their legs, get something, whatever it might be. And they all come back 3 hours later and reboard the plane. So his version is that when he left the plane, knowing he was going to return, he had left his cube, his iPhone charger and his cube. He had left that plugged in. And that when he came back, it was gone. And he's asking people right on the plane, has anybody seen my... And people tell him, there was this blonde gal, and she grabbed it. Now, that's all that they say. They don't break down the details. Okay, great. So, there's no evidence, and he's not offering any evidence of anything else than he was told through hearsay that a blonde girl grabbed it. And grabbed it is that's a very open term. So now let's hear from blonde girl. She says she's getting off the plane, and this iPhone charger in the cube is on the ground. So she sees it on the ground, she picks it up. Now you have to understand this, right? You have to really break this down if you were in her shoes and the way that an airplane works. If you were to bend down and to pick something up, within a second, you're now a step forward. Within 2 seconds, you're 2 seats forward, which is, my point is you can't return it. What are you gonna, you're gonna toss it? The most reasonable and nicest thing that you could do would be to go to somebody that works in the airline and attempt to turn it in. It's a pretty good lost and found system. And she claims that that is what she did. And she claims, hey, this wasn't plugged in. This was on the ground. I was walking by, got my bag on my side. This is on the ground. I pick it up. I turn to the people in the airplane. Is this anybody's? She said, that's why everybody knew that I took it. I had turned and offered it. And they said, no. So as I got off, I offered it to a stewardess who rejected it. So I've got it on my bag. And when he and her interact, when they encounter each other, he comes across very aggressive, which if you thought somebody robbed you, you would have the right. And if you wanted to document it, turn your camera on him, this is kind of the world we live in. Like, I don't suggest that he did something wrong, but I do suggest for you, that's a big claim. I mean, you're calling somebody a thief, right? It doesn't matter if there's a $20 iPhone charger or it's $2,000. It doesn't matter. It's not yours. And you took it. That would call your integrity and your character. It's a very big claim. A thief, this is a very big claim. And it's a tough one because when she comes on the plane, he doesn't know that she had it or that she's the one in question. He was told it was a blonde girl, and he sees a blonde girl, he turns the camera and says, hey, did you take my charger? And guess what she said? Yes. Instantly. Almost as though, yeah, I've been looking for you. Is that your charger? Let me get out of my bag. So he starts demanding it. Give my charger. And her hands are full, and she's very calm and says, yeah. I'll get you the charger. And it really does come down to, right, was it plugged in? If you detach something, if you unplug it, even though he left it, it's very clear that it does have an owner, right? Somebody placed it there. If it's on the ground, that's very different. It could have been somebody in the back of the plane. They're coming off and they drop it. You wouldn't know for sure it's the person that's sitting in seat 13A. That's my point, if it's on the ground. If you then pick it up and make an alert, I don't know what you're supposed to do with it once it's in your hand. And I really don't know what to do. I know airplanes where you're constantly moving forward. It's not a matter of return. Like once you pick it up, you now have it. Quite literally, unless you're going to toss it and get it kind of in that general area, you would take it with you. And her claim is that she tried to turn it into a lost and found that didn't exist. Now, whether that happened or that's an addition to the story, I don't really understand how she'd be accused of theft just by watching the very video. She was accused of taking an iPhone off a plane, but she brought it back to the plane. I mean, I feel like that is right there what changes it. He accused her of stealing something when she brought it back. And he asked one time, do you have it? And she quickly said yes. I don't know. I feel like this was a very bad thing to do. I felt like that was a very, very rude thing for him to do. If you were to attempt to remedy that situation, is there anything that you could have done, even with a magic wand? Is there like anything that you could have done to go back that you would suggest is done differently? She did have the option to leave it on the ground and not grab it in the first, but that's true. But for whatever reason, you see something, you've been down and you ask, okay. Once that's in your hand, though, you don't really have another option. When the person asks you, do you have it, and they all look the same, and there's 50 other ones on the airplane, if you were looking to type something, you could simply say, no, that's mine. It would be the end of the conversation. It wouldn't be, yes, and I brought it back, and let me get it for you. It seemed like a very mean thing to do, to post a video of somebody accusing them of being a thief who took something that was yours and brought it back to you. It would seem, quite frankly, as though you might want to tell that person thank you.